wanted for you to pick your top 3 artworks here in the gallery. And this is your number 3. Can you explain to us why and what is the name of it? Tell us all about it.
Okay. It's kind of like if you have children, you can't pick favorites, but hopefully they're not listening, right? Um, Maybe they are. Well, this one here is entitled Con Espalón sin Navaja, and that basically means with knives but not spurs. And that's because this was sort of inspired by chicken fights or rooster fights, which are obviously very bad for the roosters, but it's still sort of a part of the culture that, you know, sort of captures my interest, I'll say. And so I had done this portrait of a friend of mine, and I had used the red because I just thought it looked kind of just so raw with just all red and black and those tones. But I felt like it was missing something. So I added another layer in the background of this cut paper, which is papel picado. And then I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, still need something else. And so that's when I put this giant rooster in the center over him. He had just gotten a new tattoo. It wasn't a rooster, but it made me think, okay, what could we put on top? You know, sort of like a tattoo. And that just sort of took a life of its own from there. And so there's just something about this that just every time I look at it, I see something different and that I don't even remember painting even.
We are at number 2. Please explain to us why this is number 2 and tell us the history of this beautiful art.
Thank you. This one, I saw the picture of this luchador and I just thought it was such an odd photo because he was just standing like this with nothing around him. And I thought, you know, with the spiraling on his mask, I just wanted to find some way to mix another element behind him just to sort of make it all fit together. And La Cerveza Sol is sort of what caught my attention because all the lettering had the round curves and then it had that beautiful sun with the rays sticking out. And so I think it was mostly, you know, an experiment in juxtaposition where you've got one image just sitting on top of another. And I think they're both equally maybe strong, but the luchadors always stand out first. I mean, sometimes people don't even notice the background, but as they start to look at it a little bit more, then they're like, oh yeah. So, you know, for me, I just like mixing and matching.
And we have come to number 1, stunning Frida. Tell us all about this piece of art.
Okay. You know, I've painted Frida so many times, and with my background in photography, I'm very picky about the images I use, and there's so few really great photos of her where they're really clear to work from. And so my challenge has always been, how can I take the few photos that exist and turn them into paintings that are unique and look different from each other? Because I've probably painted like 50 or 60 portraits of her. And so this one uses the Otomi design. Tenangos is another, is the actual proper name for that. But that features all of these animals. And it's normally something that's embroidered on fabric. But because Frida always had animals and plants behind her in her portraits, I thought I would sort of throw a new spin on that by putting these very colorful animals and flowers and bees and insects, you know, in this, just to sort of play on what she would normally do, but make it a little bit more uplifting, because a lot of her portraits are very somber. They're very powerful, but they're very somber, and I just wanted to give it a lighter feel.
You have achieved that, and this is stunning. I love all the details and how from far away it just looks like shadows, but when you come close, there's just beautiful shapes that create this.
You know, somebody had once said it looks like paint by number, and there's, I guess, that element in my work, because when I was a kid, my bedroom curtains had these little cowboys and horses, and they looked like paint by number. And the color registration on it was terrible. So, you know, it kind of looked like an Andy Warhol thing where, you know, there were colors outside of the lines. Wasn't on purpose, but it looked great anyway. And that sort of, I think, inspired the way I paint and the way I approach color even.